everybody to the Rauly Knows podcast. Today we have a very special guest, a friend of mine, Carlos.
What's up, Rauly?
Everybody welcome. So, first of all, thank you for coming. I appreciate you taking the time and being here at this podcast. Is just one of many. And is there what I want you to, we'll conversate a little bit, but I have a couple questions to ask you. Mm-hmm. But for the moment, how are you feeling? Everything all right? Everything good?
Everything's great. Happy to be here. Thank you for having me. Always great to sit down and talk to you.
Thank you, bro. Appreciate it. And one of the questions I wanted to ask you is really I've been knowing you for quite some time now, and I've been knowing you through my friend Darian. Mm-hmm. And every time I talk to you, you're humble, bro. You don't talk much about anything. But what surprised me the other day, and I'm not saying surprised in a bad way. I'm talking about wow, I didn't know, we went to Darian's girlfriend, Noelle, her 21st birthday. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, dang, this is a really nice house. What's going on? And then nobody was telling me whose house it was. I'm like, all right, it's not that serious. And then next thing you know, I'm speaking to you, and you're talking to me oh yeah, it's my house. I'm like, really? Yeah. So I'm like, dude, congratulations, man. How long have you been living in here? And you're like, oh no, I don't live here. And I'm like, oh, you're renting it out? No, I don't rent it out either. Yeah. So can you explain to me a little bit how that works?
Yeah. So I don't openly talk about it, but one of my businesses that I run year round is Airbnb rental business.
Okay.
So not just Airbnb, but vacation rentals in general.
Okay.
We're up to 6 houses now.
Wow, congrats. Last time I spoke to you, you had 5.
Yeah,
so nice. Doing something right.
Still looking for more whenever the opportunity pops up. But yeah, that's what I like to do. And, the reason I got into doing that was because I was heavily into construction before. So acquiring properties, and that house that you were in was, I think I showed you that day, it was super ugly before.
Oh yeah, dude. I'm talking about the floors were immaculate, the interior design was dope. I'm a sucker for islands. I love islands. That island was so dope to me.
Yeah. So I'm a little bit younger, the most people doing remodels. So I understand what people like to see. So the big island is a must-have.
Oh yeah.
That.
I feel like the island. Sorry to cut you off.
No, please.
The island. For the most part, if people like entertaining people, they the spreads, the food, and all that. So that's mostly what I want to look for when I look for a house. But yeah, that was dope, man. Good for you, man. So can you talk to me a little bit of how does that work? How what kind of mentality do you have to have? Did you learn from somebody, or how does this work? Because I would have never thought.
Well, the idea came up. Honestly, I was listening to a podcast 4 or 5 years ago.
Do you happen to remember what podcast it was?
I forget the name of the podcast, but all this guy talks about is how it's side hustle school.
Side hustle school. I'm gonna have to look into that.
Something like that. And he basically talks to people that have side hustles that eventually turn into big businesses, or side hustles that people are still doing as side hustles that are very successful.
Okay.
And there was this one lady on there one time, and she started talking about how she started house hacking.
Oh wow.
And this is a term that they use where you either buy a house or you rent a house, and then you rent out the spare rooms in the house that you're not using.
Right.
So if you're just one single person, you buy a 4-bedroom, you live in one of them, and then you rent out the other 3. That's called house hacking.
Okay.
And if you start there, that's basically where you start if you want to get into this vacation rental business. And then you can scale up. You start getting your own properties and stuff like that. But house hacking for a lot of people is the most feasible way to get started.
Okay.
And so she was talking about it I started house hacking my apartment, and then she started house hacking a house, and then eventually she saved up enough to buy her own. And so that's how she started scaling up her business. And I was like, well, she makes it sound real easy. Let's see exactly how easy it is.
Right.
And so
it was more of a curiosity thing.
It was more of a curiosity thing. It's I didn't know if because she was doing market out there in California and stuff. And
okay.
And the way I think about it is California is really like sought after vacation place. Like people love to go out there to the oceans, they love to go out there to the amenities, to Disneyland, all.
Oh yeah, you can't beat that. The weather, the
Everything.
beach, everything. Yeah.
So I was like I think Vegas might be more of a seasonal place to like start up a company like that. Like maybe people come during the summer, like when they're trying to leave like the cold winter months at their places. But I wasn't sure, so I just gave it a try. Picked up one property, just filled it with furniture, you know, and just listed it and actually started getting bookings. I was like, oh, this might work.
Okay. Is that, it kind of sounds like too easy, like it's kind of like almost like I don't even know. Like I would have, not easy, unimaginable to think that it works that way.
Well, think about how, like, I know like I might make it sound easy,
right?
But the difficulty is the mentality of taking the risk.
Right. With anything too, though.
With anything.
But you have to be 100% committed.
You either have to be ready to succeed or fail, and you know that either of those two outcomes could be a possibility.
Right.
And so, especially with the house, like,
there's no in between.
There's no in between. Like your down payment's out there. You already paid for all the furniture. A lot of the times, Airbnbs, like people want like TVs in every bedroom and stuff, because if it's not a family traveling together, it's separate people that work for a company and they like to have their privacy. And so you have to, like, one, know these things and keep these things in mind, but two, think about the financial liability that's attached to it. And so I was like, all right, if it fails, it fails. You know, we'll just turn it into a traditional rental, because the fundamentals of, and a lot of it goes back to just like real estate fundamentals. And so if you know that you paid a good price for the house and you can get a decent return monthly, even in the worst market, let's just say you have to do a monthly rental and you can barely break even. Let's say maybe you're left with $50 at the end of the month,
right,
left over. That's still better than being negative.
Yes,
and you can still hold on to it for a year, 2 years, 3 years, as long as the bills are getting paid.
Right. No, I guess it makes sense. Yeah.
Mortgage getting paid, and then you're still increasing your equity in the house, which at the end of the day is very good.
Very good. Yeah. I'm happy you said that. A lot of people don't understand. I mean, I was one of them. I didn't really understand what the whole equity is, but basically I've been told that equity is what the house is worth, or like what the house is worth that's been paid.
Yeah, it's like what the house is worth minus what you owe on it.
Right. Okay.
And so, and then a lot of, like, the big thing with stuff like this is just being able to take the risk. And, like, you know, and having faith in yourself is huge too. Just if you wake up one day and you're just like, man, I don't think this is gonna work, and you just give up on it, the whole idea would just fall apart.
Yeah, you have to keep at it, right?
Yeah.
So for somebody that, you know, took the risk, obviously you said you started getting bookings right away.
Yeah.
At what point did you ask yourself, or what point did you, whatever, if you have a partner or whatever, or what point did you say, this might work?
Man, it was honestly like when I had enough money in the bank to think, oh, I can probably start looking for another house. So
to bring the money in, like, again.
So okay. Running back, basically. And if it works out that way, that's great. And for a lot of people in this space, because there's a lot of people renting out property right now on Airbnb. Like, there's a huge community of people, and then there's people that don't even own the property; they're renting it from somebody else, and then are renting it to other.
Is that legal?
Yes.
In a certain way, you have to get permission from the owners, right?
From the owners,
and they're okay with it most of the time.
If they are okay with it, you could do it.
And most of the time, they're like, you know what, I'll do it myself.
Well, most of the time, the owners, if they might say that, yes, but if they don't want the headache, they don't want to deal with the problem, they don't want to deal with the host, they typically don't want to do it themselves.
Right.
They'll still want somebody else.
Oh, so they're kind of, I'm pretty sure there has to be some benefit to the owner as well, because they're getting their mortgage paid off.
Exactly. The benefit is that they have a lease on the home that's constant year round, whereas with a typical renter, you don't know if they're going to be there next year or if they plan on moving. But if you're an investor and you say, hey, I can pay you your rent for the house for the whole year, I can probably even do it up front.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And you just got to agree to let me rent it out to other people as a vacation rental.
Well, and that itself, like, it even sounds good to me. I don't even have a house. You know? Like, so if I were to have a house and someone came up to me and they're like, hey, you know what, I'll give you a whole year. I'm like, yo, that's way more than I want. You know what I mean?
Well, it's all
it does sound good.
And it
all right, like, you know what, I might, like, nah, I'm just kidding.
And it works out for both people.
Right.
So only when it's mutually beneficial, and typically is, it'll work out. And so people that are owners like that, because it takes care of all their problems right away. And then people that are, you know, looking to make some money off of the vacation rental, they like it because it's a ready house. They can just start to furnish it,
right?
And then just start.
And most of the time, the houses are all fixed up, or they're is it? Okay. Like I want to make a point because I spoke about this topic with a friend, and they actually bought like a really big, nice house, and then he told me it doesn't make sense to me anymore because it's just more money that people can't really afford. He said he would rather have an older home that he could remodel, and it would be at that price range where people could afford to book. Did that make sense?
It does. Like it's like once you go so big, it's not even something that people consider for their vacations anymore, right? Because you've put so much money into it. You want to recover that much money out of it. I would say that at least in this market and from what I've seen, there's data regarding how many bedrooms on a house yield the most money on vacation.
Oh, okay. There's statistics and stuff,
and stuff. And so typically once you go past that 4-bedroom range, you go into 5-6 bedrooms, you get a lot more money back on your investment.
Okay.
So it's a better investment the bigger the house you go.
Oh, okay. So maybe for this particular situation, it was different.
Yeah, it might have been. And what I've experienced is that this is typically true because most of the homes that we have are 4-bedroom, but the 5-bedroom ones, we see a big return on them.
Okay.
Because with bigger groups, you can charge people like per person.
Oh, okay.
So let's say somebody wants to host the house. It's a 5-bedroom house. It sleeps about 14 people. You can pay for, every person $50 a night, and that's great return on your money.
Oh, that sounds actually good.
Yeah.
One thing I was gonna ask is, okay, so being that I went to UNLV, shout out to UNLV.
Shout out.
I went for hospitality, and in hospitality, they always teach us that there's more now. With this whole Airbnb and what other apps? I'm sorry.
There's VRBO, HomeAway.
Yeah. So these third-party apps are emerging, and people are traveling and using that as lodging instead of going to hotels and stuff. Because sometimes it's a lot cheaper. You get more privacy. But obviously, some people go for the amenities. The whole hotel industry is it's not dying by any point right now, but there is a big market for people that just like to travel but don't want to be in a hotel. And I could only imagine like who thought of that, you know what I mean? Like how does that happen?
Like how for Airbnb it was that guy Brian Chesky, the CEO. I mean, genius dude, to come up with the idea that there's a hole to be filled in that market where people are traveling, but sometimes their group is too big for a hotel, and let's say you don't want to have like hotels next to hotels where you get together with your friends and stuff. If I was going out with my friends somewhere, I would want to just get a big house and just, hey, we just spend the weekend out.
Yeah, that definitely sounds like way better. And then like you want to go back to sleep, you just go in your room, close yourself. It's cool. You can do that in the hotel, but it's just a lot more work and all this other stuff. But
it's awesome when you guys talk about that in hospitality school because I think it's like great that they're keeping up with the markets because it's changing so rapidly. And right now, especially since it's like so unprecedented right now and all the hotels are closed. Like Airbnb, people thought it would just be crushed, but right now everybody that would be staying at a hotel is staying at Airbnb.
Airbnbs? Wow, I never thought about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, they teach us that for sure. Like they speak to us that there's more than one way for people to travel and stay. I believe there was 3. It's they either stay at friend's house or friends or family house. Airbnbs, or they I want to say rent a home or something like that. But it was just very different when it comes to like they had to adapt to what's taking away business from them. You know what I mean? So
especially here in Vegas.
Yeah, definitely. So Vegas is a big hospitality. If not, it's only known for hospitality. In that statement, I say like, you know what I mean. So Vegas in itself, it's well,
you've stayed at the hotels. I mean, you know how much money they put into
that. And man, sometimes it's not even worth it. Like I'd rather, for what I pay to stay in a room for 2 nights, I could be in a house for a week or something like that. It just depends. And I'm assuming that even sounds a lot better, like 1 week or one good week of it. But because I'm pretty sure there's limits, right? Like if somebody wants to stay, you can't just let them stay 1 day. Like I'm pretty sure there's like minimums, right? Like minimum 2 days or 3 days, right?
Well, mine I got 3 day minimum.
3 day minimum, and usually that's reasonable.
And it depends on the number of rooms too, because if you have a big house, it's harder to turn it around from day to day. Like people,
because you still got to get it cleaned.
You still got to get it cleaned for the next person.
How does that work? Is it another company involved in media? You get a partnership,
a cleaning company or somebody that wants to do it for you. So I mean, logistically, like I know I make it sound real easy to do something like this. Like first you house hack and then you buy your house, then you rent it, but like you still got to do the cleanings, you still got to put the right furniture, you got to get the right interior design, you got to take the appropriate photos, you need to describe the amenities correctly, you need to provide everything for your guests that a hotel would probably have for them, because that's what your competition is typically. Right. And I mean, logistically, it's huge, and you got to like schedule all these people to be in and out the house, people coming in, people coming out, right? So it's a lot more work involved than most people think it is, but it's good because you provide more work for the cleaning people. Like hopefully you can help them put food on their plates for their houses and help them pay a little bit of extra bills and stuff like that. And for a certain part of the year, you're also employing like the remodelers, people that are coming and doing the tile, the flooring. You're giving people, you're including people from your community that are helping you do the work. And it's mutually beneficial to everybody.
Yeah, everybody gets a little bit of something.
Yeah, that's what I like about it too. It's not, you don't depend a lot of like on imported goods. Like everything's very local. Like it's a very local economy. Like you're hiring people that are installing flooring like next door. Like I find people to install stuff on OfferUp.
Really?
Yeah, it's awesome. Like you find people to install carpet on OfferUp and you just hit them up like how much you do it. And then the other day I found a guy, because like the carpet's getting a little dirty. I found a guy on OfferUp that would clean the carpet on the stairs for $45.
And that's, I've never had to do that. So is that at a price or what?
I don't know. I thought it was great.
It sounds good to me. No, like it does sound good to me.
I thought it was great. I was like, oh, $45 to clean all the stairs. Like I wouldn't want to do it. Like,
yeah, I'm definitely paying somebody else $45 to do that.
Yeah.
But okay, so that's the good side of it, right? So what could go wrong?
Oh man, there's like all kinds of stuff. Well, the big thing that people are worried about when they're looking into doing something like this is like damage to your property.
Okay.
It's like how likely is it that somebody comes in and they'll either steal a television or put a hole in your wall and stuff like that.
That rent the place
or
book it.
That book it. Yeah.
Wow, that happens.
I've heard stories that that happens a lot of the time. Like people will throw big ragers at the houses and stuff. And so if you don't have the appropriate measures in place to prevent these kinds of things, they'll happen.
And of course, like, is there any way to get reimbursed with that, or is it's just kind of you take it as a loss?
Well, it depends on what it is. Like, and with Airbnb, since their literature on this kind of stuff's a little bit funky. Like, it's like not very direct. Like, it's not easy to get reimbursed.
You can find loopholes.
Yeah,
is what you're trying to say.
Yeah, like guests can find loopholes.
Right.
And it's like, for example, it's not very easy to get reimbursed for somebody smoking in the house.
Right.
Like, even though I don't let people, like, it's not a smoking house. Like, you can't smoke in the house. You can smoke outside. It's not a problem. But you won't be getting reimbursed for that, even if you have to hire somebody to go take care of the smell in the house. Mm-hmm. It's a little difficult to get reimbursed for stuff like that. But very tangible things, like they say, like if somebody stains a towel, for instance, or they break plates or glass, if you have the receipt and you got the documentation, it's a little bit easier to get reimbursed for very tangible items like that. Especially a whole TV. I'm sure if you keep your receipts, it's never happened to me. But I mean, the biggest thing that I've had to get reimbursed for is probably the whole grill. Somebody put coals in a gas grill.
Oh, okay, and it ruined it.
It just burnt up all the stuff inside. And
hey, that's something I look for too. I'm gonna go camping in Utah, and one of the first thing I asked from past experience, because I learned a little bit, but I asked if the grill actually has gas and or if there's an actual grill provided for us. Yeah. And obviously everything's working out. But before that happened, I went to Brian Head with Darian, and we had everything was snowed in at the time, but we asked the owner too late, right when we got there, is there a grill or anything? And obviously there wasn't. So we could have probably booked another place with one, or would have prepared to get one. So I'm pretty sure that's something people look for.
Yeah. And the thing about Airbnb, I'm sure a lot of people don't like, is like the differences between each Airbnb. Like you don't know if there's going to be a grill or not. Whereas if you go to a hotel, there's going to be this, and that. Right. But with the Airbnb, it's like they might have a grill, might not.
Yeah.
The pool might be heated, it might not be. And so there's all that stuff. And you're right. If you're looking for that thing, you should definitely talk to your host and ask if it's available for you. And, you know, sometimes it will be, sometimes it won't be. What I do personally with the grill and stuff, especially with the gas, is like I just have them leave the gas tank that was in there. And if they have to go run to Home Depot and buy a new one, I just reimburse them because it's not like they're going to use all the gas in the tank.
Yeah, that's something also that's been asked of me because we also went to that same Airbnb in Brian Head and there was no table.
Yeah.
So we're like, where are we supposed to eat? And he's like, oh, well, if you guys want to go to Cedar City and get a table, I could happily reimburse you. But that's a 2-hour drive. I'm about to eat on the floor.
There was no table in it at all?
No, there was see, the thing is that like it's understandable for the reason not to have a table because they had a big like not island,
like a bar,
right? But it only sat 3 people, and there was probably close to 10 people. Yeah. So we had to make it work, but there's things that just it happens.
Did
you know,
it fit a table?
Yeah. I don't know.
Oh, okay. Oh,
it was definitely a good time. Like we had a good time. We all had like space. Everything was great.
Yeah.
I mean, that's probably the only complaint that we have.
It's probably one of the things too. You guys check the pictures.
That too.
Yeah.
See, it's probably on us then.
Yeah.
I mean, it happened, man. I'm not upset. Like we made it work.
Yeah.
But just for people that are like watching it, maybe ask because at the end of the day, it's kind of not their fault.
No, it's it really falls on the individual, especially because it's so uncertain. Like I'm sure people have 100 like good and bad experiences at Airbnb, especially if they travel a lot. I can't even imagine.
So, Carlos, how old are you now?
I'm 24 right now.
24, wow. And you're managing 5, 6? 6.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
See, like with one thing I want to, if I could go back in time and invest my money differently, I would have done a lot of things differently if I met you. I wish I would have met you then.
Yeah.
Because I feel like, my money's not being misused, but I feel like I could have had it in better investments. You know what I'm saying? Like, I definitely wouldn't have bought my car at the time.
Oh yeah.
And I would have just invested in that, knowing that it was gonna, work out. But obviously, like you said, you still have to have the mentality and the want to continue the business going. And obviously, one day you stop, the money goes away.
Yeah.
So,
and the thing is, it doesn't just have to be one thing. Like the money just didn't pop up out of nowhere to be able to buy a house.
Right, you worked for it.
Right. Like, and I did like side jobs. Like I do like designs and stuff. Like I do interior design. I do like renderings for people.
Okay.
Like I helped design Darian's bedroom.
Yeah, I remember he showed me. That's awesome. It's so cool how people could do that because I either I don't have the patience for it or I'm dumb or something because I see how because he's using the program now too. Like
we were teaching him a little bit.
Yeah, so he like from what he knows, it looks pretty dope, and I just like I can't. Maybe because I'm just not into it, like people aren't into cooking, but I'm into cooking and people look the same way.
Couldn't cook to save my life, to be honest. I couldn't touch it.
I can't render anything to save my life. So I can render the fat off some steak, but that's about it.
Well, it's like, how do you feel about that? Do you think anybody can cook?
The way I look at cooking is, it maybe like you could quote me on this because I feel like it's my quote, but the way I feel cooking is kind of like math. 1 + 1 = 2, but you can get 2 from 3 - 1. So there's many different ways of cooking. So, and not one way is the right way.
Okay.
If you make something different and it doesn't come out the same, different recipe. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's all depends on the taste of a person. It all depends on what the person likes. There's people that like medium rare. There's people like well done. So it's just like, I in my philosophy, I say that cooking is kind of like math. It's like numbers. It's like you do one thing and you can do it the other way to get it. You know what I mean? You can do it the opposite way.
And you think anybody can learn to do it? Like if I say
you have to want though.
Okay.
You have to want. I'm pretty sure if you're stranded on a desert island, and you have to fend for yourself, right? But if you are hungry, you're gonna teach yourself how to cook.
You definitely learn how to cook.
Even if it's crappy, if you burn everything, you're gonna, it's cooking.
Yeah.
You know? So I feel like definitely anybody could cook. And then I just took this question and took it
No, you're right. It's the same thing with the design and stuff. Anybody, and I sat down with Darian for probably like 2-3 sessions, a couple hours in the night, late in the night, just going over how to design in SketchUp. It's this program that we use. And I think because I've been using it for so long, I could probably teach anybody how to use it.
That's how well you know the.
Well, that's how well I think I can communicate it to people.
Wow. Yeah, because that's the thing though. Like you can know it, and then same thing. I don't want to put any teachers out and throw them under the bus.
Yeah.
There's people that know it, but the communicating part is what.
Yeah.
If you could reach somebody, that's what teaching is. Not everybody could teach. That's something I for sure could agree on.
Right.
Not everybody could teach.
Not everybody could teach.
Either they don't have the patience for it, or they just don't know.
Yeah, and it's true. The student has to want it too.
That's true.
And the Darian did want to learn how to do it, and he made great progress. So I think, like, going back to how this whole thing started, doing stuff like that is how I started doing side jobs to be able to save up a little money to be able to do this. And that
you're doing appraisals and stuff, right?
And I do not appraisals, but I do like designs and renderings, and I do estimates.
Okay.
Yeah. Appraisals, estimates, similar thing.
Yeah, similar. Right.
And right now I'm getting into like doing like contracting, like on houses. So if somebody wants to redo their flooring or redo remodels for their houses, I'll help them put together the people, the materials, and the schedule to get it all done.
Wow.
And I'm really liking that. But it's just another one of those things that I'm interested in pursuing, and they're similar to what I'm doing now, and it would probably help me. But I also want to help other people like make their houses how they want to make them.
Okay.
Yeah, like combining a lot of different things to get it done.
That does sound like a good idea. I feel like my dad will actually be really good at that, but
yeah,
I'll probably let him watch this podcast and see how he feels about it. But yeah, man, like there's different ways of investing in it. House hacking, buying a house, and using it for Airbnb is one of them that's probably more lucrative, and hopefully like works out. What's one other thing that like we didn't touch on with the whole investing in Airbnb?
Yeah, like investing in houses has been nice. Like it's worked out for me pretty well. I know that there's a lot of different people investing in a lot of different things. And at the end of the day, what really drives it home is the fundamentals. And so it's like, how much money do you put in versus how much money do you get out? And there's like a term, it's ROI, return on investment.
Return on investment.
And so I don't advocate that it just needs to be real estate. Especially if people are looking to invest their money, let's say you got a good chunk of change saved up. Like there's a lot of things that you can invest your money in that'll return your money back in a variety of different ways. And so real estate, you put a lot of money in up front, and it takes a little while to get your money back. But maybe, if you invest in dividend stocks, for instance, you'll invest your money up front, and then your money will come back to you in monthly dividend payments.
Right.
And it could be stocks, just regular building stocks, like companies like Coca-Cola and stuff like that you hold for a long time. Like stocks and real estate tends to be the thing, but you can invest in yourself. Like it'll pay off great. Like if you haven't had a chance to go to college and get that degree that you've always wanted, or you can't get that, like that license to do that specific thing. Let's say you want to be a real estate agent, or you want to do any of that stuff. That stuff costs money. That's an investment in yourself. And a lot of times people don't see it that way. And investing in yourself, I think, is way better than investing in anything else.
Yeah, that's very true. I honestly, I follow that philosophy for sure because, well, thankfully, I didn't have to invest too much in my schooling. And shout out to me for doing a good job in school.
Yes, sir.
But
where's that diploma at?
Oh no, I need to hang it up. I have a degree for sure. But yeah, I'm super proud of that, and that's even if like I don't follow what I went to school for, just having the accomplishment of me. You know what? Like my parents come from another country and they migrated here. We weren't supposed to be here,
right?
And yet, my parents raised me right, and I did everything that I possibly could just to invest in myself, which is really making my parents proud and making, like, I didn't do it solely for this, not just to make like my family look good,
right?
But there's some sense and pride of like coming to another country and they don't want you here, but your seed, your kids are succeeding in life. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's kind of like I take a step back and I look at it in their view, and I mean, I think I'm doing okay.
Yeah.
But that's something definitely like you said, investing in myself was probably one of the best ideas or best things I've ever done.
Oh, 100%, bro. Like, you know, you always have that thing to fall back on. And even if, like you said, you don't use it, it doesn't matter. The accomplishment is what it is. Like, it takes a lot out of somebody to go through that. What was it, 4 years?
Oh, no, it was, I graduated high school 2012. I took a semester off because I just slacked off in the whole enrollment, and I couldn't get into any classes. Too late, yeah. So I took a semester off, and obviously I was like, damn, man, like, am I gonna go to school? Like, you know what I mean? So I took that semester off to, you know, to myself. I needed it. And then I went straight into it the next semester. And from 2012 till 2019, it took me to finish my my bachelor's. But in between that, I got a certificate for culinary and an associate's in science.
Wow.
So, you know, it's not like I was slacking off, but it did take me a while. I'm not embarrassed about it. It's my journey, and that's what I had to do. But that's one thing I want to give advice on is that if you feel like, okay, at the end of the day, it's a marathon. What you want to do is do whatever works for you. If it takes you 6 years for a 4-year degree, that's totally fine. Work on it. Make sure you're working on it, though, because if you stop, it doesn't work for yourself. You know what I mean? So that being said, just do what your life, like, don't try to be nothing else and you know, like, slack off and do all that stuff. The biggest advice I could give is do whatever needs to be done.
And you know, it's interesting that you, like, with your background too, like Latinos, a lot of times it comes out of the pressure of the family.
Oh, definitely.
Like, you know, like the mom wants you to be that, like, licenciado.
Oh yeah. No, trust me, believe me. Like I mean, my parents are more chill about it, but I know a lot of people that are like, oh, you got a degree, but why are you a doctor? Or, like, you know, like, why, you know what I mean? Like, why are you not a nurse? Or like, why are you, like, not a lawyer? Or all this other stuff. So I definitely get the pressure, and thankfully I don't have the pressure like that, you know, because I personally, I wouldn't want to be, like, I wouldn't want, no offense to that. Like, if I really respect people that do that stuff, but it's just not me. You know what I mean?
Right. And at the end of the day, like, you own that degree, you own those credentials. Like, that's going to be you for the rest of your life. You know, you earned that, you own that now. And it costs money, it's an investment, but that'll always be there to back you up no matter where you go. And so it's not for everybody. Like, you know, there's a lot of people that are very successful that didn't have to go to school and do that, but they're owning what they're doing now the same way that people that do go to school own that they worked for.
Definitely. And then that's one thing I want to say also is that you don't need a degree to be successful. You could teach yourself in different ways, learn a trade.
Yeah.
As long as, oh wow, 1 second. All right, no, we're good. So as long as, you know, things are being done to, like, a certain, it's helping you get to the end goal is what really matters.
I think that's interesting you say that. I was thinking about that while here too. Like, the trades are very underappreciated.
Very underappreciated.
Like, they make great money. I was like, man, like, some people, like, one dude came over, a mechanic, and, like, the knob for the air conditioner on my car was broken. Just bought a new knob, popped it in. How much? $140. All right. You got me.
You got me. Yeah, there's things, man. That the other day, my girlfriend's mom, her dishwasher wasn't working. And she called up some guy, and comes in with a little tool, and she thought the tool was expensive or something, because he literally looked in there. He's like, oh, went back to his truck, got his tool, twisted this little thing, and then fixed the dishwasher. And then when she looked into how much that tool was, she got so upset that she paid close to $100 just to get this. I mean, you're paying for people's time.
Oh, yeah.
But she got the tool for like $8 at Home Depot. And she's like, well, if anything, I learned something. So something good came out of it, and now I could probably fix someone's dishwasher.
Yeah.
Or something.
It's just
so, you know, things like that, little trades, and obviously people deserve what they get because they know the knowledge.
Oh yeah,
you're paying for their knowledge. You're paying for their time.
Yeah. Well, it makes me really happy to see people our age like getting involved in the trades, and like I'm on Twitter and you see like people our age, they say, man, like the money off these side jobs is crazy. I'm
It
like,
is.
bro, that's what our parents have been talking about this whole time.
Side job. Always got a side job.
And it's true. Like the trades will always be there for people. Like people will always own houses. They'll always need repairs.
People need haircuts.
People need haircuts. People need their cars fixed. People need their houses fixed.
Cars washed. Houses cleaned.
Yeah.
Everything. There's always that necessity of things that people don't want to do. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Or not even if they just don't want to do. They just can't do.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I recently stumbled upon this YouTube channel where this it's called Everyday Self-Employed or Forever Self-Employed. And it's this guy that refuses to work for anybody else, and he just looks for jobs for himself. So he does like power washing people's driveways, he mows people's lawns, he does their gardening, he cleans up their stucco or their siding on their houses. And he just does this, and he breaks down like, he's like, if I mail out 500 flyers, you know, advertising what I do and what I can do for people's houses, I'll probably get 3 to 4 jobs out of it. But those 3 to 4 jobs are
they pay for the flyers too.
2 to 3. They pay for the flyers. They pay for you, and they'll keep you self-employed.
So in a sense, it's kind of like free marketing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
cool.
I was like, that's really sweet that he breaks it down like that. Like 500 flyers get you 3 to 4 jobs. It's like you can actually start to scale your business up that way. You're like, okay, 500 flyers can do this. What can 1,000 flyers do? What can 20,000 flyers all around the city
it's
do?
all about marketing. Marketing is insane. Like you don't know something exists until someone shows you it exists, and then not only exists but convinces you that this is what you need, as well as not just what you need is just like the first thought of a product. Let's say like a cleaner. So you want to buy a cleaner, but this the way they market it has you like knowing that, okay, Windex, a window cleaner. Windex is already the first thought you have. Marketing is crazy for Windex. So like, there's other products that do the same thing, if not better. But like, your first thought is, let me get some Windex. Even if you have the generic stuff, like the great value stuff,
dollar store stuff,
you're still calling it Windex. You know, so it's just the marketing obviously has a really big part in how much business you get.
Look at like Hydro Flask.
Hydro Flask for sure. I was gonna call this Hydro Flask. It's not a Hydro Flask. It's a Stanley. So yeah, man, it's definitely a big thing.
I wish I would have taken a marketing course.
Yeah, I took a little bit. You know,
you did?
Yeah, so I kind of know what I'm talking about. But at the same time, I'm not a professional. There's people that actually went to school specifically for marketing, and I'm not gonna knock that from them. You know what I mean?
For sure.
But I do know the basic, psychology, because it's a psychology. You want to convince people that whatever product or not product, experience or job that you're providing is what they want.
Right.
And even if they don't want it, you can still convince them to get it anyway, you know? Yeah. So that's like one of the phrases that I love is just like, I could sell fish to water. Like if you're that good at marketing, you can. So
can you imagine going to school and just being a professional and doing something like that? I respect a lot of those guys.
Yeah, definitely. And it takes a lot of creativity for sure. And it takes a lot of thinking outside the box, which is creativity. But yeah, man, like the trades are there. Marketing is dope. If you can market your business to where it could like kind of work on its own, all you have to do is market.
Yeah.
That's why marketing is so sought after, like the marketing space and commercials and this and that, T-shirts, merch, everything. Like it's marketing at the end of the day. How do you market yours, by the way?
The houses or like the contracting stuff?
When it comes to booking, is there any like other places that you look through that you try to add ads maybe?
I just
it works on its own, like word of mouth.
Airbnb spends, I think, millions of dollars on advertising to people, and I think they do it through Facebook. I don't know if I've ever seen some of their ads on TV, but I know they have a huge ad spend. Like it's giant. Like they really work very hard to get people's houses booked for the majority of the year, as much as possible. And it differs from year to year. I've been doing it for about 2.5 years. The first year was really crazy. Last year, I just kind of started to see the market trend a little bit better. Like when it gets colder, people don't come out here as much. Summertime, Vegas is crazy. This summer,
around CES, does it get booked?
Oh,
crazy!
Bro.
Prices go up too,
EDC,
right?
Are you kidding me?
Oh, EDC.
dude.
But then you gotta expect too, like what kind of people you're coming in, like what kind of people you're bringing in.
They're usually, you know what? The first time I ever listed a house, it was like 2 months before EDC. The first booking I ever got was an EDC booking.
Wow.
And I didn't know yet how to work the pricing right. And she got the house for like $200 a night, where it should be, it typically is like $2,000 a night for a house. For EDC
at
weekend,
EDC weekend?
For EDC weekend.
And if you've gotten one booked like that?
After I learned what was going on.
See, that's one thing that I think about. Like, I can only imagine how much the prices on houses by Coachella.
Oh my! What is that? Somewhere in California. What's
it's Chino, California, but it's like the area is called Coachella.
Yeah, I can't even imagine.
It's crazy because everybody wants to stay. If not, there's not enough hotels over there.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming if you could buy or invest in a property by Coachella, then you're definitely gonna get.
Well, you got to think about the factors too, because let's say you only get booked out for Coachella.
Oh, think about this year. Well, they still have to get paid, right? Like to say you booked.
Yeah.
Can they cancel? No, right?
They can, and they'll probably get their money back because it's like unprecedented.
Right.
Like the circumstances.
Yeah. So now it falls like
Yeah.
It kind of falls on the owner now.
Yes. So and
that sucks.
It's crazy. A lot of people's businesses got wiped out during this time.
It did.
For those of us, like I'm grateful that I was able to just kind of weather the storm a little bit, get through it. You know, you had to cut your prices in half. You have to, make the bookings not 3 days minimum. You just have to get it filled up no matter what, just to weather it, just to be able to pay the bills at the end of the day.
Even if you cut the prices in half, like does that still even you out, like break even, or does you still get a little profit from that?
You still end up with a little bit of profit.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
So like you said, referring back to what you said, even if you're getting $50, it's still a good investment
for sure. Yeah, even if at that.
You think about it, I'm like, no, $50 isn't enough, but at the same time, you're still getting that thing paid off, which is amazing.
Yes, if you own it.
Remember,
because if you're doing the subletting, the rent to rent thing, you're renting for somebody else to rent it. It doesn't matter how much money at the end of the day there is. A lot of times the actual owner still gets their rent, but you don't get any equity in the house because you don't own the house.
Right.
So that's the benefit. But a lot of people argue with it all day long. They say that there's better return on investment if you rent the house from somebody else to rent.
House hacking.
Okay. And so I would argue that you get better returns if you buy the house. Right. You have ownership of it. You actually control the property. But it differs. I mean, it just depends on what you want to do for your business, the way that you want to do it. At the end of the day, it's up to you how you want to run it, whether you want to own anything or not. Like, it's a huge liability. Not a lot of people want to take on that kind of liability. At the end of the day, you could lose your butt. You could. Yeah. COVID could happen all over again and zero bookings. Thankfully, although they did shut down the hotels, they didn't shut down the vacation rental businesses. And so that's the only way that this thing could have worked.
Yeah, I noticed that because I'm like, dude, aren't we supposed to be inside? Why are you guys in the house right now? Like, you guys are in there. Like, it was like in the middle of the pandemic. I mean, I'm not knocking nothing, but like there's people at like Havasu and all this other. I'm like, damn, bro. Like, hey, you know what? Do you, man? Just don't do you around me, because I'm trying to stay safe over here.
Yeah, people having pool parties, man.
Yeah. Hey, good for them. Good for them. But okay, so thank you so much for joining me today, Carlos. I appreciate the knowledge. I've learned a lot today, and I hope the viewers learned something, and maybe motivates them to maybe looking into a different way to invest. And I appreciate your time. And is there anything that you want to share with people, or before we?
Yeah, I just want to say, thanks, Ro, for having me. Of course, as I said, Absolutely. It's always a pleasure talking to you. And to anybody watching and all your friends that might have any questions or might be interested in doing something like this, feel free to hit me up. Ask Raul for my number.
I'll put your email and information on the description below.
Yeah, we'll definitely get together. I'm not looking for any extra business, but I would love to share some knowledge with anybody that's looking for it. So
definitely. Thank you so much for the knowledge. Thank you so much for your time and the laughs and the conversation.
Awesome.
Sorry. Thank you. Thank you guys for tuning in. You already know the vibes. This is episode 2 of Rauly Knows.